Once upon a time, there was a girl, but this is no normal girl as she is tiny and has wings. This is a fairy named Alette. Alette lives in a colony of fairies who live in a hollow tree. She has medium-length hair with bangs. Her favorite outfit consists of a green leaf dress. Alette was never really a popular fairy. She has a few close friends, but her closest friend is a boy named Oberon. Oberon is a little bit taller than Alette and has blonde short hair. Alette has another close friend named Serena. Serena is a little bit taller than Alette also. Alette, Serena, and Oberon love to pass time by sitting near the creek, which is more like a lake to them. They often craft little canoes out of their thick maple leaves. It is a warm summer day, and the fairy trio is down at the creek wasting time having fun in their maple boats. Serena and Alette are sharing a boat, and Oberon is chasing them on his own. They all take turns splashing each other with their makeshift twig oars, but the trio fail to notice the huge storm clouds rolling in due to the canopy of large trees. For fairies, small storms are more like hurricanes because of their size. Alette is standing in their boat, trying to splash Oberon when she loses balance and falls into the water. Right as she falls in, a giant wind gust sweeps over them and the rain starts to pour. Serena and Oberon are also knocked into the water, but because they were closer to the shore, they managed to get to safety. At this point, the creek is rushing with water. Oberon frantically tries to call out for Alette, but he gets no response. They look down the creek and see Alette pulling herself on to one of the makeshift maple boats. But it's too late. The creek is rushing and she is floating further and further away. All three fairies have wet wings and cannot fly to help or safety. Oberon and Serena rush to find help. Alette is panicking. She's stranded on a maple leaf boat with wet wings floating down a rushing creek further and further away from her family and friends. She contemplates jumping off into the water to try and swim to the side, but the water has too many rapids and she would surely get hurt. It's been about 30 minutes now and Alette is exhausted. She is fighting back her eyelids and going back and forth from sleeping and being awake. Eventually, after what seems like an eternity, she suddenly hits a giant rapid and then complete calm. Alette jumps up and looks around. She's in an ocean. "How am I going to get home?" Alette says out loud, not expecting an answer. To her surprise, she hears someone talk back. "Oh dear, are you lost?" Alette was too worried and distracted to notice a mermaid who had appeared beside her. Startled, Alette asks, "Who are you?" "I'm Marina," the mermaid replies. Relieved to have a somewhat friendly person to help, Alette tells Marina everything that had happened in the last few hours. "I know just the person who could help," says Marina. She tells Alette about a leprechaun man who lives in the woods about 15 minutes north who could help her. Alette thanks Marina and sets out to find this leprechaun named Quincy. She hopes that he could at least point her in the direction of her home and help her dry her wings. After about 10 minutes of walking through the woods, Alette decides to take a rest on a nearby mushroom. She's a tiny fairy and gets quickly tired when walking. As she sits on the mushroom, she starts to get a little bit sad. "How long is this going to take me to get home?" she says to herself. But thinking about Oberon, Serena, and her other friends and family brings her hopes up. She quickly gets up and rushes towards the nearby light of Quincy's house. Alette is curious as she's never met a leprechaun before. She knocks on the door and waits for an answer. Quincy pulls open the door and yells, "A fairy!" Startled, Alette takes a step back. Quincy apologizes and asks Alette why she's at his door. She explains the situation. "Lucky for you, I was just about to make a stop at a fairy town. Is it yours?" Alette says. "Yes," and they start taking their journey back. Quincy sadly didn't have anything to help dry Alette's wings, but he did have a cart and some toads to pull it. Alette is sitting in the cart thinking about seeing her worried family and friends and how grateful she is for the people she had met on her way home. After a while, Alette notices some familiar landmarks and they eventually end up at the gate to the village. Alette hops off her cart and gives her thanks to Quincy. At the gate, Oberon and Serena rush to Alette. "We were so scared," they both said as they scoop her into a hug. They walk Alette back to her house, where she reunites with her family and takes care of her wet wings. She goes to her friends to tell them about her adventure and the people she met on the way. "Next time, let's pay more attention to the storms coming in," Serena says. Oberon and Alette agree. As the trio continues on with their conversations, they notice Alette's eye bags. "Surely you had a long day. Let's get you home to your bed," Alette's friends say. When she's finally home in her bed, she drifts off to sleep thinking about how much she adores her loved ones. The end.